Hi, welcome to Watcher DM. I'm Gabriel, and today I am doing a flip through and review of Forgotten Realms Adventures in Faerun by Wizards of the Coast. The construction of this book is pretty nice. I really love. I think this is the alternate cover design, and it's got a nice debossed title on it, which is really very pretty. Some very stylized Underdark art here. I ran an adventure from this book. I did not run everything from this book, so I don't want to imply that there's anything incredible going on here. My exploration of it has largely been to read it, and then I have run one thing from it. But I did want to go through it and do a flip through review and kind of show off the book as it exists. I think it's a good book. It's interesting. It represents, I think, a new deviation from what has otherwise been kind of the Wizards of the Coast model for how to create adventures. So this talks about running the realms here, epic destinies, character death, high stakes, right? It's a heroic adventure, and that is very much the Forgotten Realms. Now, I am not the big Forgotten Realms nerd. I do not very much care for the Forgotten Realms as a setting. For my own leisure, I don't think that the fantasy that it presents is super compelling. I think it has an audience. I disagree with everybody in the world here. Like, it's got an audience, and that audience loves it, and that's awesome. I think if they can have a great time with this kind of fantasy, like, that's awesome, right? For me, I like slightly more grounded fantasy. I also like kind of slightly more silly fantasy. I'm not like big into the big superheroic kind of heroic fantasy, high magic kind of fantasy. Now, that said, I think what this book does that is great. There's a couple of things, right? One, it talks about how to deal with experts at your table and how to deal with realms lore. Like, there's too much lore for any one nerd to have all this stuff. It kind of gives you the permission I think is required to do what you have to do to make the thing kind of work and just be fun. It also comes with a stupid amount of adventures. Stupid. Like, this is more adventures than I will ever need in the Forgotten Realms. And I might be the odd one out here, but this is a lot. And that's great. I think anything that can provide this much adventure in one book, that's saying something, right? They've done something different. The adventures you find in the old campaign books are huge. This, level 1 adventure, 1 page. It's got your situation, you got your hook, you've got your encounters, and how they fit into this, the map, with your random encounter table. That's the whole adventure. Now, is it perfect? No. No, not even close. But neither is Waterdeep Dragon Heist, right? Neither is, Tyranny of Dragons. Like, pick a module, right? Curse of Strahd's got problems. Like, the difference is the problems in a 250-page campaign adventure series that's all one big strewn together thing are going to be very difficult to solve. You have to read the whole thing, you have to recognize the gaps, you have to start doing the backfill, and you're working within a 250-page context. With this, I can read this whole thing in minutes. I can be ready to start stapling in solutions in minutes. And that's exactly what I did. The Robber Baron is a 1-page adventure described right here. One of the great things about this, didn't have room for the map? Refer to the map in the Dungeon Master's Guide. There's go look at Appendix B. There's a map in there. Go take that, clip this part out, use it. Great reuse. That's a really smart reuse of an asset that I definitely already have. And I think the map is also available on DysonLogos.com. Like, it's free. This adventure, though, did have some really interesting problems with it that I solved. I actually talked about them in my How I Prepped 5e adventure video. So you go check that out. I'll try and put a card up or something. But, yeah, like, And this is the whole thing, right? So it's a level 2 adventure, a level 2 adventure, a level 3 adventure, a level 3 adventure. These are one-page adventures. You're gonna have to do some work with these, right? Level 4, bunch of level 4 adventures. You're gonna have to do some work to kind of elevate them and get them to kind of weave in and tie in, and make a little bit of sense. I think some of the writing here is a little weak, like just in terms of connective tissue. But there's so much to choose from, and because they're so small, it's really easy to kind of approach the project of fixing them up and making them what you want is way easier than anything from the last 10 years of 5e content, if I'm being totally frank. And these maps are great. Like, some of the bits in here are really, really smart. The fact that you've got one page, level 10 adventures, level 11 adventures, like, what are we doing? That's incredible. You've got 2 level 12 adventures on one page. Repair an ancient mythal. Mythal. I don't know what a mythal is. Situation. Miners have unearthed the ruin of Myth Rodarnum, an ancient elven settlement deep under the village of Snowmantle and Daggerdale, or another settlement of your choice. So it's just like, hey, no, you can do what you want. So pick your own place. Among the ruins is a circle of power connected to a now dormant mythal. If reactivated, the mythal could protect the village with powerful magic. Hook, a guardian naga named Lendroscalopos, finds the characters and asks them to uncover the secrets of the mythal and Myth Rodarnum's ruins. So you've got your encounters here. Boom, boom, boom. Offer magic items. Illuminate the circle. Find cover. The mythal. The effects of a reawakened mythal are up to you to determine. So exactly this, right? It is not going to support you the way that the old ones did. The cost of having an adventure fit on a page is that you're going to have to do some legwork. The good news is that legwork is something you're going to remember much better than something that you've read out of a book, right? So, like, if I have to read 250 pages of, the Giants book or whatever, I guess the Giants book actually has its own kind of sub-adventures in it, but, like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, if I have to read the whole thing and try and keep the whole context in my mind, it's going to be very difficult. But if I'm reading a little bit and then writing a bunch of stuff that is me kind of making it make sense, I'm going to have a much more complete picture. And I think that's what this book does. That is pretty stellar. The Dale lands, you got a map here in the middle. Actually, there's a pull-up map too that I have up on my wall. And yeah, they go into the Gazetteers, so you get some really great articulations of some of these different locations with, again, about a spread. I think it's a spread per kind of area that it wants to describe. The writing isn't super terse, but this is way, way better than I think a lot of stuff we've seen in the past. And it's delivering on some fiction. You've got some nice art here, some big called out kind of, in-world lexical text. Nice little map here. Shadowdale. Can't go wrong with Shadowdale. I have many memories of the old Skull Inn, where my sisters in the company of the Swan Maids and I spent warm and pleasant evenings sharing tales with Yale Silvermane. All those memories are false. I know that now, but I cannot let them go. It's cool. Shadowdale Town and Valley, Tasseldale. So these are all the Dale lands, right? We're coming up onto page 80 something. 85. Okay. And then it goes into the DM's toolbox. So these are things to use within the Dale lands. Encounters in Cormanthor. Dale lands bastions. So this is taking advantage of the bastion rules in 2024. And then you've got adventures specific to the Dale lands. So you can very easily go from, you've had this adventure in this one place. Now you're in the Dale lands. You're level 3. Let's put you in the Tomb of Damara. This kind of flexibility, right? A spread for the Temple of Transmutation. Right. And then you go into Icewind Dale. And we're looking at the same kind of setup. This actually has a lot of really interesting stuff that's just about running in an Arctic kind of setting. But then you get into your map, and you get into the 10 towns gazetteer. So you get your 10 towns. Lonelywood, Goodmead, Targos, Termalane, and then beyond 10 towns. So it talks about the different areas in Icewind Dale. 10 towns renown. So what your renown kind of gets you. Bastions, abroad in Icewind Dale. So you've got encounters in 10 towns and then wilderness encounters. And then again, a couple of adventures. The adventures, basically a page each, right? Level 6, level 9, level 3, level 4. On to Calimshan. Not wasting your time, not trying to do too much, just giving you what you need to kind of kick off from here and say, oh, I've got to run something in Icewind Dale. You know what? They're level 6. Let's go check out Dugan's Hell. Let's get this folded out. Read this in a few minutes, and then be off to kind of expressing it out, fixing the bits you don't like, tying in your PCs to it, and get to the table. I love it. I think this is such a huge improvement and such a breath of fresh air in what has, for me, been a very frustrating decade with Wizards of the Coast's treatment of Dungeons and Dragons adventure books. This is the kind of stuff I've kind of been begging for. It's funny because I was like, oh, 2024 is coming out? Who cares? I don't really care. Like, it's 2014. There's a couple of changes. Like, what's the big deal? Seeing this, now I care. I get it. I want to run more 5th edition 2024 because of this. Because I feel like this supports the style of play and prep that I want to do as a DM. Calimshan stories. God, the art in here it really is, the one thing is consistent about Wizards of the Coast for the whole bit, right, is that they've been super consistent on their art. Calim Crossing, level 3 adventure. Gods Long Forgotten, level 4 adventure. The Dalabad Curse. The Calimemnon Conspiracy, level 5 and level 8 adventures. Great little map. And then we're on to the Moonshade Isles, chapter 5. And yeah, I'm just going to flip through and show, again, very consistent structure, right? You're talking a little bit at the beginning, just kind of tell you about the place, how a certain thing works here. So in this case, it's magic in the Moonshades. Who's enacting it, right? Navigating the Moonshades. It's a series of islands, so you need to talk about boating. It's great. And then boom, you've got your Moonshade Isles map. And then boom, you're onto your gazetteer, and it's walking you through each of these locales and giving you a bit of deeper thought and lore as to what you can find here and what you can express to your players and what they're going to enjoy finding here. Fantastic. Sailing the Moonshades, Moonshade conflicts, building alliances. And then we get our DM's Toolbox. Again, very consistent layout, very consistent design. Moonshade Druids of Renown. So if you're a druid and you've got renown here, that's some of the effects you can have. There's different factions, so you get the different renown for those different factions. And then you get your encounters. They've got their bastions, again, very clear. And then you've got your adventures for the region. The Rushdown Well, Message in a Bottle, Wreck of the Silverhand, and the Treaty of Ostorio. And then we go into Chapter 6, Baldur's Gate. We're going to see a lot of the same things here. The Devil Cults in Baldur's Gate, which is one of the things that ties in. So one of the cool things about this, right, is that like the adventures will have tie-ins to each other. And so certain NPCs you interact with in one adventure might interact with NPCs in another. That's actually where some of the fixing, I think, is probably best done, is in that space. So I would recommend pick an adventure, read through it, see if you can connect it to the other adventures, and then find out how to tie those things together a little bit better than they did here. But the Baldur's Gate Gazetteer goes through and talks about the different parts of the city. So you got the lower city, you got the outer city, Honestly, the Baldur's Gate section is probably the kind of most overdone. You got the sewers, like, it's a city. It's kind of insane that you've devoted this much effort to a single city. And then they talk about beyond Baldur's Gate. So these are the different places nearby. So you've got Candle Keep, Baldur's Tomb, Rivington. And then you've got some stories from Baldur's Gate. Again, you're going to see regularly they've got the stories locked in. The gate conflict, your DM's toolbox. So this is going to talk about your renown among the different factions in Baldur's Gate. You've got your list of bastions that your PCs can get access to if they want to get a home base. And then Baldur's Gate encounters and our adventures, right? Tide of Teeth, Blood Knight, level 3, level 4. Clockwork Memories, level 7. The Shadow Parliament, level 9. The Lost Library of Lectantos is the kind of most... I think this is probably the starting adventure that it's wanting you to kind of kick off with. And it is the most kind of expressed adventure, where the rest of them are a single page. This one really unfolds itself and tries to be kind of what those old adventures were. I don't think that's a good thing. I could do without this, right? This is not for me. But, you know, it's fine. Like, I'm sure that they were like, well, we want to put one whole adventure in there and not all these just little tiny ones. But I really like those tiny ones, man. I'm in. The Nathlum, customizing the adventure. And then, yeah, so it just talks about different ways to customize, I think, some of these different bits. Chapter 8, you've got magic items. So it's just a whole bunch of different magic items from the realms. And then chapter 9, you've got your bestiary of creatures that are unique to the Forgotten Realms. Biha Babir. Bunch of cultists. Love the cultists. Always need more cultists. Dead 3 Scion. Deep Dragons. Whole bunch of Deep Dragon chunks. Drow. Or the Drow. I think it's Drow. I'm going to call it Drow. Karas Chambril. Assassin heir to a sinister legacy. Now, this is probably where, you know, I've been heaping praise on this book. They have not fixed the stat blocks. The monster stat blocks for 5th edition are atrocious. They are a joke. The worst. I get it. I get why they do it this way. But, man, is it bad. It's so bad. It's so hard to use at the table. And by and large, the PCs do not care. The players could not care less. I feel like they designed these stat blocks of the monsters this way to make them feel impressive to the DM, to get me to, oh man, I can't wait to use this guy. But actually, the bigger and more complicated it is, the less likely I am to use it or use it successfully. Not for me. Not the way I want to do things. Also, like, these big blocks of history, I think could be a little punchier, a little shorter. I don't need this much personality description, probably. And if you look over the writing of most of this stuff, you're gonna find there's some purpley prose. It's a little over the top. Like, I'm sure that they have a space to fill, right? There's some by the word payment going on here that needs to be accounted for and cannot be ignored. I'm a big fan of paying for the early draft and then editing it down to something that is more usable. It's kind of how I approach things. You've got your calendar of the Harptos, or calendar of Harptos, and your end papers are again your map of the Sword Coast and the Forgotten Realms. And that is the Forgotten Realms Adventures in Faerun, flip through and review. Thank you so much for hanging out. I know this is a long one. If you like these videos, I hope you will hit the like button. If you want to see more of them, you should subscribe. And if you want to be notified when they come out, you should hit the bell icon. You can also get early access to these videos a week early over on my Patreon at patreon.com/watcherdm. Or you can pick up any of our adventures or supplements over on watcherdm.com, on itch.io, or on DriveThru, or where other adventures are sold. We also have like physical products over on Composed Dream Games. Go to Composed Dream Games. I like them. They're great. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope I will see you in the next one. Peace out.